Right, are we ready to get into it? Today we are filming a full glute session, and I'm not just giving you the exercises, I'm giving you the full blueprint on how to grow your glutes, how to actually do each exercise, form tips, how to set it up. So if you're a full beginner watching this right now, haven't stepped foot in the gym or too scared to step foot in the gym for whatever reason, by the end of this video, you're going to understand every single thing that you need to know. So the next time you step in that gym, you're going to be kitted out to know exactly what to do. But let's get into it. So you're probably really confused at what to do when it comes to your glute workout. You're probably scrolling TikTok, you've probably seen 10,000 videos and still don't know what to do because everyone's telling you something different. The reality is that no way is the right way. You've just got to do a way. Now I'm going to show you my way today. The actual principles of it stay the same. The movement patterns, the form tips, everything else stays the same. You can just do different exercises to achieve the same result essentially. So don't get confused, don't get bunged down by all the different ways and decision fatigue. Just do a way and get consistent with it. But before we go into anything, we need to do a warm-up. Now the same as what I've just explained there, everyone overcomplicates the warm-up. They say you need to get glute activation, they say you need to do all this, that and the other and confuse the hell out of you. You need to just spend a little bit of time getting your glutes warmed up. That's literally it. That's the goal here. It's not to do any fancy dancy exercises, it's just to get your glutes warmed up. Now if you've just done a whole 8 hours at the office 9-5 and you've done absolutely no movement today, I would suggest you get yourself on the Stairmaster, the treadmill, the cross trainer machine, just to get the blood flowing through your body again. If you've been walking around like I have all day this morning, you don't need to do that. But if you have just been at the office, like get yourself on 5-10 minutes, get the blood pumping around your body. That should do you wonders. But in terms of glutes, main thing here is we just want to be opening up our hips, getting our muscles a little bit warmed up before we start the movement. So what I like to do is just a few leg swings forward and back, like so, side to side. You'll feel your hips opening up here, which will feel a lot nicer when you're doing the movements. And then again, just warm up the hips and knees. I like to just do a few squats, a few bodyweight squats. If you want to, just stay at the bottom a little bit, get everything feeling a little bit more mobile. And another exercise I like to do is just hip openers. So just get yourself on the floor, legs wide, and just forward and back like this. Again, it's just opening up those hips nicely. When you are actually warming up on the exercise, the real warm-up comes from just using the movement that you're doing on a lighter weight. That's literally it. That's the summary of the warm-up. Do what feels good for you. Do a lighter weight on the set that you're doing for a few reps to get the movement just feeling good, and you should be absolutely fine. So we're going to start off with the best one of all, the hip thrust. Now I know it sounds like a scary exercise, but it's really not when we break it down. You're going to start off with a bench. Most gyms do have a bench and a barbell. What I want to show you first is on the bench, as you can see, as we're in the top part of the hip thrust, my shoulders are currently higher than my knees. Now, if you have the same sort of anatomy to me, if you're a bit taller, this might not be an issue. We ideally want our shoulders and knees to be parallel. So what we're going to do to fix that, which you could do in your gym as well, get a big old bumper plate and put it where your feet will be. When you do actually do the hip thrust now, your knees and shoulders should be parallel, which is going to make the movement flow a lot easier. Let's get into the movement. Starting off with your barbell. To make this a lot easier, we need to be using the big bumper plates. So we're going to grab some of these big boys and slot them in on the barbell. So just get your plate, line it up with the barbell, and then slot it through the hole. Simple as that. Do the same for the other side. And what this means when you are actually in the hip thrust is it easily goes over your legs. If you're using these little baby plates, you're gonna have to lift them down. You're just gonna look like a big disaster in the gym. We don't want that. So get the bar set up. Second of all, you need to be using a pad. If I see any of you trying to put this barbell on your hips, no, you're gonna ruin yourself. So we need to get cushioned on our hips with a barbell pad. So slot that right on there. You can get these from Amazon. I would always bring your own just in case the gym doesn't have any. You've got the setup set up now. Then we just need to get ourselves in the bench. When you're here, like you can see with the bumper plate, you can easily just slide it straight on and off. You first of all just want to get yourself set up. So with my setup here, we've got the bumper plate here to elevate our legs. We want to get our shoulder blades on the platform here. And you don't want to lift yourself up with your arms, because when you do get really heavy weights on here, that's going to probably cause a lot of injury. We want to get ourselves in place and then use our feet and our glutes to push ourselves up. So what I want to teach you here with the hip thrust is how to actually thrust, because this is what a lot of people get wrong. To start off with, we just need to get our feet in place, get our shoulder blades on the bench, and then we're going to thrust up. Now, when you're on the movement, we want to be keeping our chin down here and looking forward. We don't want to be looking up. We don't want to be looking all the way down, straight our neck. We just want our gaze to be looking forward and slightly down to the bottom of the room. When you're actually thrusting, we don't want to be swinging. Do you see how I'm bending my back here and swinging up? We don't want to be doing that because we're going to be using our back. What we want to be doing is using our glutes. So how we're going to do that is we're going to brace our core here. As you can see, braced core versus sloppy core. We want our core to be braced, and then when we actually lower down, as you can see, everything is going through my glutes. When you get to the bottom, you're going to spring back up and then pause. As you notice, when I'm coming down, I'm going down to the count of 3, which is our tempo. Pause at the bottom, and then you're going to spring back up in 1. Way up to be slow. We want that to be fast because that's when we're going to be squeezing our muscles. When you go down, 1, 2, 3, and then all the way back up. Just so you can see it a little bit more clear without the bar. When I talk about keeping your glutes in place when you are hip thrusting, you don't want your pelvis to be flared. This is what it looks like when our pelvis is flared. As you can see, I've got a bend in my back here, and when I go down, I'm going to feel the strain in my back, and as you can see, my whole body is like folding up and down. We don't want that. We want it all to be going through our glutes. So what we're going to do before we start is almost curve our pelvis in. So as you can see, the bottom of our back is straight so that when we go down, our glutes are going to be stretching. It's not going to be our back extending, it's going to be our glutes stretching. And then when we actually thrust back up, everything is going through our glutes. We're not straining anything on our back, it's all going through our glutes. That's a big tip that I want you to take away. Make sure you got your pelvis in the right place, and make sure you're actually using your glutes to extend and thrust back up, not just overextend your back and then swinging back up. With the hip thrust, this is going to be our biggest and possibly most heaviest movement of the workout, which means we need to be loading up the weights. As you can see, this is a barbell, so we've got a lot of opportunity to load up the weights to loads and loads of plates. Whereas with another movement, for example, our step-ups, it's not as easy to load the weight because we're relying on our upper body, for example, to actually move some of the weight as well. We're literally just using our legs, and it's such a short range of motion that we can easily just load and load and load the weight. So my advice, once you get the form right, once you get the technique right, don't be afraid of loading the weight up. That's how we're actually going to make progress. And with the compound movements, that's where we're going to be able to basically bring most of the load to the workout. So make sure you take the opportunity when you can. And that is our hip thrust done. Let's move on to the next exercise. Second exercise, we're going to be doing the RDL, which is a Romanian deadlift. Like the hip thrust, that was working our glutes in the shortened position. This is working the glutes in the landing position. So we're going to be moving down, and it's a stood up exercise. With this one, it is working our glutes, but it's also working our hamstrings as well. So you're getting both development there. Thing with an RDL, this as being a coach for many years and working with clients one-to-one, this is an exercise that everyone seems to struggle with a lot. And it's because there's a lot to it, which I'm going to explain to you right now. So before I even pick up the weights, I'm actually just going to show you the form. When you look at an RDL, it's the same as what I was explaining with the hip thrust. We need to be making sure our pelvis is in the right position. What I see a lot of clients, beginners do when they first start at the gym, when they're doing RDL, they just do this, okay? They're just flopping up and down. And you can't feel that anywhere apart from your lower back and your neck, because you're swinging your neck up and down. Before we start anywhere, we just need to start with looking at what we're looking like. We want our gaze just to be staying in the same place, i.e. looking where your neck takes you. So I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. My gaze is just staying wherever my neck is going, and that's just staying neutral with my body. That's the first thing. Second thing is our pelvis placements. You don't just want to be pushing your bum back like this and then going down. As you can see, when I'm doing that, I'm not actually pushing my glutes back, I'm just bending the lower back. So what's going to happen when you add weights on that? You're just going to put a lot of strain through your lower back and possibly cause an injury, which I don't want to see any of you doing. Before we even start, I need to show you how to tuck your pelvis in. Basically, imagine you're trying to hump something, okay? So literally, tuck. You see that? That's out, this is in. The lower back is straight, and our glutes are now going to be taking on all the load. So when you now go back, my back has no involvement whatsoever. Everything is just going through my glutes. And what I'm thinking about as I'm going down here is by sending my glutes to the back of the room. A lot of people have the cue of pretending there's like a car door behind you and you're just trying to whack that shut. When I think of that, I always think about bending my back, which I don't want to do. So always think, tuck pelvis in, hump, and then push your glutes to the back of the room. literally just try and hit that back wall with your glutes as far as you possibly can. And then when you get to the bottom, you want our back to be as parallel as possible, as far as you can go down. You want that 3-second negative, pause at the bottom for 1, and then shoot up. When you're shooting up, imagine you've got a 1p coin in the middle of your arse crack and you're just trying to keep that stuck in there, okay? All the way down, pin the 1p coin, all the way up, and then you're back to neutral position. Now you've got the form, let's get the weight. One thing that I want to say here is straps. Now, if you're in the gym and your main goal is to build muscle, we need to be progressively overloading. If your goal is to build grip strength, then do not listen to this, but I'm guessing you're all here because you want to grow muscle. When we're lifting weights that use more than the target muscle that we're actually using, we are relying on other parts of our body to actually carry that weight. When it comes to RDLs, we're relying on our grip strength and our hand strength to hold the weight. Now, if you get to a point where your glutes are stronger than your hands are going to be the limiting factor in the movement. And we don't want that because we want to be growing our glutes. So to get rid of that, we need to use some lifting straps. Now, these ones are the VersaGrip Pros. I'll link them down below. I've had these for about 5 years now. The same ones, they've lasted me all that time. Basically what happens when you put these on, you wrap the strap around the weight, and what it does is it takes out most of the grip strength that you're relying on previously. So now you can probably double the weight on your hands to match the glutes and in turn progressively overload. Win-win, okay? So let me start that again. We've got our grips. We're starting on the floor. As you can see, back is straight. We're not getting the weight up like this because, as you can see, that's going to cause a lot of injury. We want to start on the floor, get your back nice and strong, chin, head neutral to your neck, and then we're just going to deadlift the weight off from the floor. So strong, straight through the heels and knees, up to the top. Now this is the start of your movement. Like we said before, we just want to get ourselves braced, so shoulders back, head looking forward, core braced, pelvis tucked in. Remember, lower back really straight. Then we're going to have a slight bend at the knees, so keep your knees really, really soft. We don't want straight knees, we want really soft knees. And then what we're going to do from here is just send our glutes to the back of the room, keeping the same bend in your knee all the way down. 1, 2, 3. Pause at the bottom for 1, and then 1p coin through your bum, all the way up to the top, all the way down again, all the way to the top. And you're going to just repeat this through like so until the end of your set. As you can see, I'm not actually bending my knees throughout the movement. That would mean it's going to be a traditional deadlift, not an RDL. An RDL, we keep a bend in the knee, but we'll keep the degree of the bend the same. We don't actually bend throughout the movement. We hinge at the glutes all the way down. And then 1p coin through the butt crack, all the way up to the top. Then when you want to strap the weight, you're just going to deadlift the weights back to the floor, release the grips, and that's you done. One more tip that I want to say is when you get over to the big boy weights, once you start getting progressive overload in there, it might limit you having to, if you think at the start of the movement, if you're having to carry weights all the way from the bottom to the top, that's going to fatigue you quite a bit at the start of the set. What I sometimes do, or when I'm on the big boy weight, is I grab myself a bench and I actually just start the movement from the bench. So if you think about it, I'm not fatiguing all of this time from the bottom of the floor all the way up. I'm just starting from the bench. Your starting position is like this. That is the RDL. You can do it with dumbbells, you can do it with barbells. Some gyms have actual machines that you can do it on, but the actual form technique that I've just explained through there stays the exact same, and that's going to build you an exceptional pair of glutes. Let's go on to the next exercise. Third exercise of the session is going to be our sumo squat. This is a squat variation of the glute workout. You could do sumo squat, you could do goblet squat, you could do barbell squat, but the reason I like the sumo squat so much is I feel like I get such a good glute activation with it, which I'm going to show you right now. So when it comes to a squat, let's just take it back to the basics without the weight for now. What I see a lot of clients and newbies do when they squat down is they do something called a butt wink. What this is where you go down and the lower back like kind of winks round. I feel like I can't even do it, but winks round, which again, it's our lower back actually getting the load rather than our glutes. So the exact same thing that I was explaining before with getting your pelvis in the right place, it applies on the squat. So again, when you're doing a squat, don't just push your bum back and then go down, because as you can see, this is your lower back taking the load. As you can see, this is nothing's happening with my glutes or my quads here, it's just all lower back. We want to fix that by not doing this position. We want to tuck it in, okay? Hump. Then when we go down, knees forward, hips back, we can get down. It's our actual glutes and our quads doing the work. So that's the basics of a squat. When it comes to the sumo squat, it's a little bit different. And we're going to be favouring our glutes here, because obviously this is a glute workout. When we look at our legs and the anatomy of our body, when we flex our knees forward more like this, a lot of the weight is going to be going through our quads. Okay, so when knees go over the ankle, for example in a goblet squat like this, as you can see, that the majority of the load is going to be going through our quads. What we want to be doing on a sumo squat is be putting it through our glute. So what we're going to do, try and keep our shins as vertical as possible throughout the movement, and the majority of the movement actually going through our glutes and hinging at the glutes. Sumo squat is a little bit more wider than a normal squat. So normal squat is about here. Sumo squat is just outside of our shoulder width. Slightly turn your toes outwards, and then we're going to start with the weight on the floor. We're going to go down, get our shoulders in a nice strong position, squat down, and we're going to grab the weight from here. Once you're here, again, like I said, our knees, we don't want them to be over our ankles. We want them to kind of just be straight as possible. And when we pick the weight up, we're going to come to about here, keeping the tension in our glutes. When we go down, we're going to try and think of an RDL almost and push our glutes back in a squat motion. As you can see, none of the weight is really going through my knees. It's all going through the hinge of my hips and then all the way back up. All the way back down again. It's all going through the hinge of my hips. Push your glutes back, tap the weight on the floor, and then here. We're not going to here, we're going to here, okay? Keep the tension in the glutes. All the way down, going through the hips, tap, and then all the way up. This is what you call tempo, the speed at what I'm actually doing the movement at. Normally, you want a really slow negative, like this. So 1, 2, 3, pause at the bottom, and then fast on the way up, okay? This is what's gonna actually help progressive overload not a lot more if you have more time and attention, and it's gonna help you grow your glutes more. So that is a sumo squat. That's how you're gonna get more through your glutes and not through your quads. And this is a movement that you're really gonna feel it in your glutes, and it's great for feeling that activation and building mass. So now we're gonna move on to our next exercise, which is gonna be our unilateral movement of the workout. What unilateral means is that we work on one side of our body at a time. So it could be one leg, one arm. That's going to help with imbalances in your body. So you'll have one side that's a little bit stronger than the other side. It's good to work these separately so you can actually work on building each individually. Today we're going to be doing a reverse lunge. You could do a Bulgarian split squat, you could do a step up, you could do any variation of a unilateral exercise, whatever you gel with the most. But for me, I absolutely love the reverse lunge. Like I do with all of the other exercises, we're going to start without the weight, just to take you through the actual form to begin with, and then we're going to work on the weight. If you're a beginner, you probably know a lunge should just be like a lunge or a lunge, okay? For us to actually work our glutes here, I need to show you a few things. The same with the sumo squat. When we are lunging on the reverse lunge, we're going to be using the leg that's at the front. That's the glute that we're actually going to be working. The back is just going to be supporting us with it. The same with the squat. We want to be keeping our shin straight so that it's all going to be going through our glutes. Do you see here when I'm at the bottom? The shin is straight. That means the glute is going to have to be doing all the work to actually move the movement down. If you look at a forward lunge like this, as you can see, the knee is over the ankle, and that's actually forcing the movement. It's not the glute. Again, it's to do with where our knee is positioned and the angle of our shin, which means it's actually moving through our glute. When we're doing the reverse lunge, we want to start with the foot that we're working, the leg that we're working here. You want to step back about a foot until you get comfortable. And then from here, remember, we're working this leg. So we're going to be forcing this glute back. Think about the hinge that we did in the RDL and the squat that we did on the sumo squat. It's kind of like a mix between both. Hinge back with the glute, get all the way to the bottom, and then back up again. Okay? When we're at the bottom here, you want to slightly hinge your upper body forward. That's going to create an even deeper stretch in the glute, a little bit like the RDL, and then you're going to go back up. One thing that I do want to show you is, as you can see here, we've got to the bottom, no problem. If you want to add even more range of motion to the movement, which is actually going to help with our progressive overload, we want to increase that range of motion. So what we're going to do is get a plate, any sort of elevation, and put it down in front of us. And what this means, when we have this front foot on the plate, when we lunge down, we're going to get even deeper range of motion. When we have higher range of motion, we're going to be working the muscle in a bigger range. That over time is going to build the muscle more, as opposed to if we didn't do this. So if you've got the hip flexibility to do that, make sure you use the plate. Okay, that's the basics done. This movement, again, we're using a dumbbell with our hands, which again, if our grip strength isn't that good, that's going to limit us on the movements. We're going to use a strap. Now with this movement, I always think it's really nice to just use one dumbbell, so you can have the other dumbbell to keep you balanced. Again, start from the floor. You get the dumbbell in the hand opposite to the leg that you're actually working. You're going to put your leg in place, either on the plate or just on the floor if you're not ready to use a plate yet. Again, the same way as we did body weight, go from here and then hinge your glutes back, keeping your shins straight, and then all the way up. So again, slowing the way down, 1, 2, 3, pause at the bottom, shoot all the way up. Again, when you're doing any exercise, we don't want to be having our chin up here like this. We don't want to be having it all the way down here. Woo! We just want to be having it neutral to our body, okay? So this is exactly what it's going to be looking like. And to keep the movement even more stable, we're just going to stay in the same place. We're not going to come back up from the lunge. You're just going to do your reps for this leg, change over. If you need to have a 30-40 second rest, you can, and then you'll do the same for the next leg, and that will equal 1 set. Once we've done both legs, that will equal 1 set. And that is the dumbbell reverse lunge complete. So the last exercise we're going to be doing is a hip abductor. Now this is going to be working the side glutes, if you want to call them that. These side glutes here. A lot of people think that with your hip dips, I do actually have hip dips, as you can see, that you can actually build it up with muscle. This is actually not true, because the hip dips actually come from your bone structure, not from muscle. And where these muscles sit is not where the lack of bone is. It's not going to get rid of your hip dips, which is fine, but it's going to help strengthen parts of your glutes that you don't actually normally work. And this really helps with like runners if you're doing other types of exercise. And I know when I was training for my half marathon, I did actually neglect the hip abductor and actually got an injury on my IT band, I think it was. That came from an actual lack of strength in my hip abduction. So I now know how important that is. It's going to help you throughout all your exercises, so don't skip this. I'm going to start on the band, go up to the dumbbell, and then show you on the machine. So if you are at home, if you have a limited setup, you know exactly what to do. So with a band, you can get any sort of band. If you have a small one, if you have a big one. If you have a big one, all we're going to do is just tie a little knot in it, and then it just transforms into a small one. We're going to get our legs in there, and you want to position it just above your knees. Now the movement stays the exact same whatever you're using, dumbbell, band, machine, whatever it is. What we're going to be doing, starting off standing up for the band and dumbbell variation, and you're literally just going to get your leg slightly lean into whatever you're holding on to, whether that be a bench, a wall, whatever it is. Slightly bend your leg, position your foot just behind the leg that's still on the floor, and then you're going to drive with your knee upwards like this. And when you're doing this, you should feel it all the way down here, up and then down. Imagine that you've got like a line from this knee going all the way up here, and you just try to follow that line with this knee. All the way up, pause, and then back down. All the way up, pause, all the way back down. So that's with the band. I'm now going to show you it with the dumbbell. It's the exact same motion, exact same form, but we're just replacing the band with a dumbbell. I like to hold the dumbbell like this, whatever feels the most comfortable for you, but it's going to be the exact same. Hold out the bench, slightly lean into it with this leg, position this foot just behind the leg here, and then we're going to imagine there's a line going from this knee in an arc all the way up here, and we're going to follow that with this knee. All the way up, hold, all the way back down to the starting position. All the way up, hold, all the way back down. Really feel that in the side of your glute. So the last movement of the workout is our hip abductor. Now this is the machine variation. We've done the band variation, the dumbbell variation, machine variation. Now, so if you're in the gym, it will look like this. Normally the machine will have both elements, so you can either work the outside or the inside. So you've got this way or you've got that way. We're using this way so that when we push out, it's working our hips, okay? So you want to be making sure that you're using it that way around. Normally, again, if it's a dual machine, it'll have these pins that can either go out or in. We want it on the closest one in as possible. So we're going to be working our hips. From here, get yourself on a weight that feels comfortable if you're just starting out to get the movement right. You're going to hold onto the sides, going to lock yourself in. And then again, same sort of idea as what we were doing with the dumbbell. Use your knees and push the movement out. Pause at the top and then release back in. Push the movement out, pause at the top and back in. Make sure you're using a weight that actually challenges you. That wasn't. When you're first starting out on a machine, you might just have to play around with it for a little bit just to see what feels right for you. It's the exact same type of motion, Should be feeling it here. That is the hip abductor. Done. We've done the bit of talking about the exercises. We now actually need to talk about how we actually grow set glutes. It's not as easy as just going to the gym and doing these exercises and coming out. We need to be doing the big thing of progressive overload. Now, what does this mean? It means progressively overloading the load on the weight over time, which means our muscles are basically going to tear in a nice way and then rebuild and grow. Essentially, that's what progressive overload is. If you're not putting load on your muscles, they're not going to tear, and then they're not going to build. You're just going to be going through the movements. So that's why it's really, really, really important that we're actually intentional with our workouts every single time we do go in the gym to ensure that we're building on progressive overload. Now, if you are a beginner watching this, I want you to listen very carefully. Make sure you get the form correct first. I don't want to be seeing you lifting 50s and your RDL is still looking like this, okay? I want you to get the form first. So rewatch this video over and over and over again, compare it, video yourself in the gym, look at yourself, look at what you're doing, get a coach. That's what we do. Get your form proper first. Once you've got proper form, you can then overload. What does this mean? There's multiple ways of doing this. You don't just need to be the Hulk and just progressively overload weight on weight on weight. I'm lifting cars now. That's not the case. We've got various ways we can actually do this. So weight is one, lifting heavier weight. Number two is time under tension. So do you remember when I was doing the RDL and we were going 1, 2, 3? The slower we do this, again, it's going to be putting more strain on the muscle. That's another way. Range of motion, so getting more range of motion in the movement, or just meeting the range of motion, not doing half reps just on a heavier weight, actually going from the bottom of the movement all the way to the top on the harder areas. That's another way. And just generally doing more frequency, going to the gym more often, adding another glute session in on your week, getting more sets in over the week. That's going to help you. So what I would recommend is, like I said, number one, getting your form proper first, and then throughout every session each week, just seeing if you can increase these things where you can. If you do that on the whole, you're going to be absolutely fine. Aside from the progressive overload, aside from actually in the workout, I'd say about 60% of what happens with the results comes from outside of the gym. And what do I mean by this, Bethany? How can I reach my results from my body outside the gym? It's what you're normally best for, food. You need to be eating well for your muscles. How can you expect your muscles to be repairing if you're not actually giving it the tools inside your body to repair? That means protein. So you need around about 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight. If you need help with that, I have a calorie calculator. I'll link it in the description box below. It's free. You don't need to give me anything for it. It's just there for you to use to get your calories correct. The second thing, aside from protein, is actually get enough calories. Now, if you're a beginner, you'll have newbie gains. So you'll be able to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time because it's new to you. But if you've been going to the gym for quite a while, you will find it hard to get to a point where you're still progressively overloading if you're on super duper low calories. So it's important that you're either just in a slight deficit at maintenance, or even better, in a little bit of a surplus, to make sure you're giving your body the fuel to progress overload every single week. If you want help with any of that, as you know, I've got 3 recipe books with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes in that is going to solve that problem for you. So again, I'll link it in the description box. You can grab that straight away and you'll be sorted on the food front. The last thing is recovery. Remember, tear the muscles, build the muscles back up. That building the muscles back up happens when you're sleeping, happens when you're taking rest days. We don't need to be hammering the gym 7 times a week just to build muscle. Literally 3 to 4 times a week is perfect. You don't even need any more than that. You need time to recover, to rejuvenate, for your body to do the synthesis for your muscles to actually grow. So make sure you're doing a balance of both, because you need both of the equation to meet the result. Okay, so just to end this off, I'm going to leave you with a couple of facts, because I don't want you to leave the video still having these thoughts in your head, still being feared and scared of different things. So we're going to bust some myths. First one is, Bethany, I don't want to get bulky, I just want to get toned. Do I still need to do all these big heavy weights if I just want to get toned and just tone the muscle? I want to actually just tone it. I don't want to get really big and bulky. What you need to understand when it comes to toning a muscle, toning isn't a thing. There's nothing you can do to tone a muscle. You just need to build muscle and then lose the weight, which gives you the lean muscle look. Okay, so there's no such thing as toning a muscle. You don't do lighter weights, higher reps to tone a muscle. Building muscle is you have one thing to do when it comes to building muscle, and that's progressively overloading. That means lifting heavier weight. That means doing everything that I've told you in this video. You're not going to look bulky. The harsh reality of looking bulky is probably a mixture of you gaining fat with muscle, not just the muscle itself. So please don't be afraid of gaining muscle. There are men who have been building muscle for years and years and years and years, and they would love to look bulky. You're not going to get bulky, trust me, never, ever, ever. The next thing that I want to bust is, if you're not sore, you're not working hard enough. The reality is, if you're a newbie gym goer, if you have just started the gym, you will probably be sore from your muscles tearing. This is called DOMS. If you are getting DOMS, it's probably because you haven't worked that muscle in a long time, which you'll probably get when you're a newbie. However, when you're in the gym and you're doing it every single week, week in, week out, you're not going to get DOMS anymore because your muscles are used to it. It's not going to have as big of an effect on your muscles anymore. So it just comes from you just not working that muscle as much, and now you work with it. So don't be afraid if you're not sore anymore, it's still working. The next one is you have to be doing more exercises to get a better result. This is not true at all. As you've just seen, you just need to be doing 4 to 5 exercises literally 2 times a week for your glutes. As long as you're doing around about 10 to 20 working sets on your muscle groups per week, so you'll probably get this from doing 2 sessions per week on that muscle group, you'll be absolutely fine. The more that you do, you're actually going to tire yourself out and get less quality. We want more quality, less quantity, okay? You need to be getting more out of each set rather than just doing more sets for the sake of it. Working hard, aggressive overloading, that's all you need. Your workouts could literally just be 40 minutes. 2 times a week, 40 minutes, that's all you need. Make it easy for yourself. And last but least question that I'm betting everyone is wanting right now is to lose fat, gain muscle at the same time. Can you do it? Is it possible? Yes, you can. It is called Bodyweight comp. It's going to be easier if you're a newbie or if you've been away from the gym for a while and you come back into the gym. It's going to be a bit easier because your body isn't used to it. But if you're going to the gym years in, years out, and you want to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, I would suggest you do it in phases. So you do a phase dedicated to just building muscle. Your sole goal of that phase is to build muscle. You're going to be progressive overload a lot more because you've got fuel in your progressive overload a lot more. Then if you want to, after that, go into a fat loss phase, you can then bring your calories down, maybe not put as much emphasis on progressive overloading because you haven't got the fuel, just maintaining the weights that you're doing at the gym. This is what we do with our clients. When they first come in, we take them through like a foundational phase where we get you used to everything in the gym, used to your program, get your body used to what you're doing. Once we've gone through that foundational beginner phase, we then put you into phases, whether that be a fat loss phase, whether that be a muscle building phase, whatever your desired goal physique is, whatever you want, we will build out these phases for you and basically hold your hand throughout it all. So if you do want that, the link's below. It is a one-to-one coaching programs. You are going to have us, me, my team there with you every step of the way, weekly check-ins, daily messages. We're going to get you to know you like friends. We're going to help you get to your dream physique, essentially. So that'll be in the description below. Everything else that you need will be in the description below. But apart from that, thank you so much for coming along with me on this glute workout. And I really, really hope it's helped you, give you so much more clarity in your workout. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be hard. It just needs to be simple, and it just needs to be repeated consistently. That's all you need to be focused on. But if you did like this, if you like the way of me explain things, let me know if you want any other workout videos. I've got a load more coming, but let me know specifically what you need, whether that's upper body, home, anything. Let me know and I'll get it all sorted. But apart from that, see you all later and I'll see you next week.